Welcome to GDevelop 5 game development stream, and in this video we are going to see how we can parse the JSON data which we are receiving from a server. In part 31 we saw how to send some data from our GDevelop game to a web server which we have programmed, and that web server sends back JSON data to us. And in part 31 of this series we were able to receive that data and display it in the game, but we were not able to parse it. So in this video we will see how we can parse that data and how we can extract the values of different variables from it, and how we can extract different objects which are present in that JSON data and different arrays which are present. So let's get started. I will open my project. So we had a login scene, and we were receiving some data. We were sending the data in login request, right? We are sending the data, and we are also displaying the received data. So the thing is that when I double click on it, you can see that when we send some data through post method to a web server, then that web server may return some data back to us. And in our web server we have actually implemented this, that our web server will return some JSON data to the client, that is to the program which sent it the request. So we are storing that received data in this scene variable, and this scene variable name is JSON response from server. This is a scene variable which stores all the data which the server returns to the program, to our program. So that's what's happening, and in this line we are simply displaying the JSON data, right? We have a text object JSON data from server, and we are setting it as equal to the JSON response from server which we received, right? So we will see now how to parse that data, how to extract different variables from that data. Variables like I don't know, success, true or not, and message, so that we can separately display them. And yeah, that's what we have to do. So let me add an action, and there must be something in GDevelop which will let us parse that data. And let me just look at it a little bit and see if there is anything. uh, I think I should just type JSON, and I have it convert JSON to global variable, convert JSON to object variable, convert JSON to scene variable, load dialog tree from a JSON file. Hmm. Convert JSON to global variable. Let's see how this works. Okay, I will store the JSON object in a global variable, but JSON string. Parse a JSON object. That's what we want to do. We want to parse a JSON object and store it into a global variable. Okay, let me just give them the JSON string which I received, and that string was I stored it in a scene variable. So text of a scene variable, and scene variable is JSON response from server. So I will give it that, and I need a global variable. No, I think I will do it for scene variable, because I can simply create a scene variable. So I will create a new temporary scene variable. I will call it temporary object, and I will not give it any value. Just click on apply, and I will temporary object. That's it. Okay, so I will click on OK, and then I will display that object, whatever data is present in that object. I just want to see what is happening, because I don't know what this command actually is doing. So let me, I will simply copy this text, duplicate this text object, duplicate it, and call it JSON object from JSON string. This is the JSON object which we have derived, parsed from the JSON string. So I will simply drag it here, and by default the text to display should be JSON object, right? And that's okay, JSON object from JSON string. And here, first of all, I have to parse the JSON string over here, not every frame, because if I do it every frame, it will be very useless thing to do, right? There is no need to do it every frame, because it will result in the same thing, right? And let me just simply copy this and paste it, and instead of this I will just simply do that object, JSON object from JSON string, and it should be received from some other variable. Variables, text of a scene variable, temporary object. Yeah, so I will change the text of JSON object from JSON string to variable temporary object. So let's do that. So I will again log in, and I will receive the request, and we will see how it works, what it shows us. So we receive something, access true, user verify, and I have a zero as, I mean, that's my JSON object. I mean, this is a JSON object, but I am receiving 0 as the output. So that's not good. And parse JSON string and store it into variable this. Let me again open it and see. The response of the server will be stored as a string in this variable. Okay. If the server returns JSON, you may want to use the action convert JSON to a scene variable afterwards to explore the results with a structure variable. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, but it's not parsing the JSON data properly. It's giving me a 0, which really not what it should do. So anyway, let's see another action if there is any. I will again type JSON, and what I have a scene variable where I have stored a JSON object. So it should show me the text in temporary object as something, a set of objects, I guess. And but I think I should do structure. No, clear scene variable, remove a child. No, structure. Okay, layers, files, network. In network, I only have these three. That should work, but it's not working. It's not giving me a structured variable function. So external layouts. In text object, no. Shopify, physics engine, add mob, BB code, sensors, vibration, no. Dialog tree is experimental. Facebook instant games, file system, no. Physics engine, screenshot, tween animation, no. Okay, I only have a few things for JSON, and let me just type structure. Will I get some structured variables? Remove a child. Let me see if this works. Temporary object, and I want the success of success, you know, which is the child of that object, which may be the which is present inside the object, right? It's a field, so I want that, and let me see if it gives me that field. So let's see that. I will again run my game. Not It's not giving me the JSON data properly. So I think what I should do ideally is that, wait, let me open Notepad. I will be deleting the errors and not deleting them. Actually, I will comment them, you know, so that the errors are not shown, because that may be messing up with our you know data. So let me just comment them all. When you comment the errors and warnings, they will not show, and only the JSON data will be returned which we want to return. So that can be a good thing. So in all our files which we have created in the server, we should this this, this part, you know, because this part will show errors and warnings, and we don't want to see them now. We don't want to see them in the game at least. So just comment them out files because we have added all the files. Okay, that looks good. So I will now push the change my GitHub. So it has done. I will simply uh, send the data again, and the server may have updated it in few minutes by the time this game starts. So let me now again send some data. So as you saw, we are actually able to fetch different fields from our JSON object. So that's the correct way of doing it, I guess. So the correct way is first of all to send request and store the JSON string in a scene variable, and after this you type this command where you parse a JSON object and store it into a scene variable, and I have stored into temporary object variable, right? I have taken the JSON string which I received from the server, and then I put the name of a scene variable where I will store the objects of that scene. And to access those objects, gdevelop does not have any explicit command or action to do that. You can simply access it mentioning the name of your variable, and then putting this square bracket, and inside the square bracket you can just put the name of your field which you want to access. So that's how you can parse a JSON data in gdevelop and access its fields, right? So I got the word true. You saw it right now. I got the only the JSON object as the data which was returned from the server, and below where I have where I wanted to display the value of success, I got true. So it's working, right? So I don't need this line to, I don't need to display this. I was doing it just to test what's happening. So I will simply delete it, and I want to parse, so that be there. And now we'll check if the value of success was true or not. I don't want to display the JSON data either, so I will delete it. So now I just want to check the value of a scene variable, temporary object, and but within it I want to check the value of success, but not the value. Actually, I want to compare them, right? So that should be a condition actually. Text of a scene variable. Don't choose value of a scene variable, because then you will have to supply integer or float. Choose text, because we are comparing text. True with true, false with false. Variable is temporary object, and within it we have the success field, because this is a JSON object, so it contains some fields, and it should be equal to, value should be true, right? If it is true, then that means we have logged in, right? Otherwise it will be false. Let me check my code once and see if the value is becoming false anywhere. Yeah, here it is becoming false, and if this statement does not execute, then it becomes false. So that's good. And yeah, I guess if this statement does not run, then the value of success will not become false, which is not good. So let me do one small change here. I will simply take this else part. So in my login script, which is written in PHP, which is a script which runs in my server, I will simply, in this part where I am checking if the row count is equal to 1 or not, and displaying the message user verified there, if if there is an error, if user count is greater than 1 or it's 0, if row count is 0, then the else part will run, and in the else part I should say false, right? I should say success is equal to false. So that's important. So error occurred, please try again. So I think I will have to add this block of code in every file where I am putting the login functionality. So I guess you will have to do that as well. It's not present in user add user data or password reset. It's present in files after the login.php file. I mean files which we have created after creating the login.php file. Only in those files the login script is present. So just copy this small block and paste it right here in every script inside the block SQL command to login. In this block you have to do that. So let me do it everywhere because it's important. So I will simply paste it. That's looking good, and here also I will simply paste it. Yep. And here you can see that here there is a verified user command, I mean variable, which is set to true or false. Here it should be false. So that variable should also be copied, should also be put in files which have been written after the login.php script. So let me write it. Let me take it from here basically and write it, and then copy this and then paste it further. Yep, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's looking good. So that's it. And now I will push the changes again to GitHub. So that was just a precautionary step which we took. And now, if success is true, that means we have logged in. Then it will display a message. I guess I will display a message over here somewhere, and it will be a big message. So if it is true, if success is true, then that means we have logged in, right? And so I will display the message logged in simply. So text not text entry, text object, modify the text JSON data from server is equal to logged in, right? And if it is false, I will simply copy this and paste it, and I will, instead of true, I will say false. If the success is false, then I will simply say error occurred, or or no, it's okay, error occurred, right? Um, but the thing is that this checking should only happen after this command has finished running, and I wonder if this happens by default, if gdevelop will pause the, I mean will hold the execution of these commands until these commands have finished, because they have to run at the beginning of the scene. I wonder if that is the case. We will see that. We'll see that, I guess, right now. Right, let's see it. Let's see what happens. So it showed me logged in, but I still wonder if that was the result of this statement after, if it came to me after this statement ran, or it just came to me by default. But we will see about that. We can see that by entering the wrong login credentials and see what it shows us. Let me enter something wrong and see what happens. So that's correct. That's what it should show us, right? So it's working. So that means that this is working. Let me now here, if success is true, if I have logged in, then whatever the user entered as username and password, that is correct. And so I should change the value of the field is logged in to 1. You can see that in our global variables we have a variable called is logged in, and by default it is 0, but now that we have logged in I will change it to 1. So action variables, value of a global variable is logged in equal to 1, right? And whatever is stored in the username and password which was stored here, and here I mean where the user has typed the credentials, in that scene we have stored the user's credentials in our global variables username and password. So we will keep it stored if we have successfully logged in, because then we know that yes, the username and password which the user entered was correct. So let it be stored in the global variable, because we will need it later to make more requests to our server, right? But if we are not able to log in, if error occurred, then we have to erase that username and password from the memory, from the variables, right? Just to be safe. It's not necessary, but we will do that, right? So let's do that. Here where we have failed to log in, it means that our username and password is wrong, something is wrong between the two. So we will erase both of them and make them empty string, both of them, and set is logged into 0. But here we only have to set is logged into 1, because the value is already stored in the global variables username and password, right? Let's do that. So that's okay, that's good. I was also thinking of one more thing, and that is we have a profile picture field here, but we are not fetching any profile picture from the server, which we want to do. So we want a profile picture variable also. We want that value. So in our login script, uh, command to login, we have to do it only in the login script and not in this all these scripts. Only in the login script you should go, and wherever we have said that the success is true and user is verified, which means that we have logged in successfully, in that block of statement you should also add another field to our response variable, and that field should be profile picture, right? Whatever field you add to your response variable will be sent to the client, will be sent to the program that makes a request, right? So we also want to send profile picture, other than success variable and message variable, we also want to send profile picture to the client, so that they know what their profile picture is, right? Right, when they log in, right? When they log in, they also want to know their profile picture. We want to send them that profile picture. So make a field called profile picture in our $response variable, $response associative array, and in the profile picture, what will be there? There will be the profile picture. So first of all, our result, the result which we got from this MySQL statement, is stored in the $stmt variable. We want to get that result out of that variable and store it in an associative array. And to do that, we have a command. Let me get it from here, and that command is $row is equal to stmt arrow fetch. We have to run this command after we execute, after we have seen that row counter is exactly 1. Then here we can simply say $row. We can simply get the contents of the stmt variable into an associative array which is $row. And now that we have our result in $row, we can simply access our profile picture by writing this, right? Inside $row associative array, we want the profile picture field, right? So we typed it here, and now we will get whatever value is present in profile picture. So now, in addition to success field and message field, we will also be sending profile picture field to the user when they successfully log in, right? So let me commit these changes to GitHub. So now let me go to JSON, and now that we are sending the profile picture variable also, in case we are able to successfully log in this case, so we will add the value of that variable which we received from the server inside our global variable profile picture. So let's do that. Value of a global variable, and that global variable is profile picture, is equal to, and the value is our temporary object variable in this scene, and inside it we want the profile picture field. So let me do that. First of all, scene variable, I guess I am modifying the string of a global variable. So choose this, don't choose this, don't choose value of a global variable, choose string of a global variable, right? So here I will go to ABC variables, text of a scene variable, temporary object, and here simply go here, add square brackets, and inside the square bracket just write profile picture. This word profile picture should be the exactly same as this. You are sending this field, the name of this field is profile picture, so wherever you are receiving this field, you should receive it with the same name. Even if you misplace one character, your program will not receive that field, right? So be careful about this. This should be the same as one you are sending, right? So click on, and after this we have successfully saved the profile picture variable, whatever we are receiving from the profile picture string from the network. Okay, so that's good. We will receive the string. If we are able to log in, we will receive logged in, right? And after that, we should simply change the scene to something else, right? What should we change it to? I wonder. Uh, should we have a dashboard? A little dashboard, I mean, not something very crazy, just a small dashboard where the user can see their account, because it's important to for the user to be able to see their account. Let me add a dashboard scene. Should I uh, username? I'm receiving username and profile picture. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I will add a dashboard. To create a new scene and call it dashboard, and here in login request, I want to do something more. I want to add a back button. That's all I want to do. Okay, and in the dashboard, I want to add a new screen, screen default. And I will add a text object just as a placeholder. So in login request, I will start a timer when we have successfully logged in. I will start a timer for I guess 2 seconds, and after 2 seconds I will change the scene, because I want to let the user see the message that they have logged in. So start a timer, login timer, and add an event, add a condition, timers and time value of a scene timer, and time should be 2 seconds, and scene timer's name is login timer. And if login timer is greater than 2 seconds, then I will change the scene. I mean that if login timer exists at all, then that means that we have logged in successfully. And when the timer's value will be 2 seconds, I will change the scene to my dashboard, right? Uh, uh, I will add one more condition here, that is the text of a scene variable is true, just to be safe. I will simply copy this and paste it here, just to be safe, right? I mean that login timer will come into existence only if this is true, and if 2 seconds have passed we will change the scene to dashboard. But I just want to add this here so that in case we have a stray timer, suppose due to some bug or something the timer remained in the scene, and next time when we enter that scene the timer is there and still running and its value will be greater than 2, and suppose it is the case, then we will change the scene to dashboard when we should not it without checking if we have been able to log in or not. So I will check it here also that login is success. We have successfully logged in. So then I will simply change the scene, to, and I think you should, yeah, no, change the scene to dashboard. And in dashboard you can add a back button. So I will now run it again and see if it is working or not. I also have to call the back button's actions, right? So let me do that. So that's why the back button was not working. So it should be without any condition. So let me add a new event, and just to simulate the back button I am adding this event. Just to simulate the back button, right here also just add, and just to simulate the back button I will add this. Now I will test it again now. So the back button was not working. Let me see why not. So I will look into it a little bit later, I guess. Let me now test it for the dashboard. So the reason why my back button was not working is that I had applied this action in the back button while I should have done simulate back button press, right? So that's what I was doing wrong. So let me correct that everywhere. It's not behavior. It's not button function. It's a simulate back button press. And instead of change the scene, I am doing pause the scene and start another scene, because that way we can go back to the previous scene, right? If we simply change the scene by stopping the current scene, then we will not be able to return to the current scene from the next scene, right? So that's why I'm pause the scene and start login request. That's what I'm doing everywhere. Pause the scene and start dashboard, right? Here also pause the scene and start login request, right? My dashboard was not coming. Let me see if it comes this time or not. I will also check the back button press. So it's showing me the dashboard. What I will do is I change this condition, and now I will check if I can go to my dashboard or not. I mean, it's not working for some reason. So what I will do is I will simply cut this statement and paste it here and remove the timer. Right? I will delete this event also. So I will just assume that if you logged in successfully, then you will see the dashboard anyway, right? And if you are not able to log in, you will see the error. So that can be a good thing. It is user friendly, and we tried, but it's not working for some reason. We will not waste a lot of time in doing that. Although we can try and try to simulate it in some way, but it's not really necessary. We can simply change our user experience, right? Let me try it again and see if the dashboard comes or not. Yeah, so our dashboard is coming and we are able to log in. We are able to parse the JSON data and store the different objects which we are receiving in the JSON data into our variables, and so that's good, that's working. So we saw in this video how to parse JSON data basically, and how to better structure our scenes so that uh, the user is not your user is does not get stuck in one scene in case they enter wrong password. We allow them to go back and enter it again, so that's good. And in the next video we will design our dashboard a little bit, and see how to add a registration system, right? So all that will be done in the next video. So if you are enjoying this stream, please join me in the next video as well. Thank you for watching.